Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Robert Lindsay. In the news this week, in Tirana, the Albanian space programme puts its first recruit through astronaut training. The head chef at the Ivy explains how they managed to cope when Victoria Beckham had breakfast with Eric Pickles. And word spreads among a battalion of women soldiers that the evening's entertainment will be headlined by Jim Davidson. OK, on Ian's team tonight, a dragon from BBC Two's Dragon's Den who says the most important thing she expects from other people is total honesty. Fair enough. So, please welcome the last-minute replacement for Duncan Bannatyne. Yes, Deborah Meaden. I'm out. And with Paul tonight is a comedian who is a fine actor and also highly accomplished at pottery. Skills which, when he was auditioning for the lead role in the film Ghost, got him into the last 76,000. Yes, please welcome Johnny Vegas. So, we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Deborah, take a look at this.
Burning the European flag. That's our Prime Minister with the President.
And that one is the Send in the Clowns man. Isn't that right?
Yes. Well, this is the Conservative Party voting against itself over the Queen's speech.
Yeah, that's a first, really. Usually the government announces a Queen's speech and then they back it. This time they announced it and thought, nah, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
So they had an amendment immediately to say, look, that Queen's speech wasn't very good. We regret there wasn't some other stuff in it. And the Prime Minister then said, yeah, you're right, I'm going to put forward a bill saying that it wasn't any good. And he thought, but it was your Queen's speech.
Who is the real victory for?
Well, it's sadly a victory for UKIP.
Or the Daily Express? And that's according to the Daily Express.
Oh.
Gosh, I thought victory for the Daily Express is when Diana is revived.
So, what has happened to the support for the major parties while all this has been going on?
Well, I think the public have concluded that they don't really know what they're doing. Because Ed Miliband, who's meant to be leading the opposition, but in fact the opposition is now being led by Boris. So we've got the Conservative Party now does government, coalition, opposition, and UKIP.
Well, actually, according to most pollsters, UKIP are now the most powerful new political force since the SDP. Who has personally boosted UKIP's support?
Des Lynam.
What's he done?
Lynam.
He's one of the old BBC presenters without an electronic tag, I think, isn't he?
Yes.
There speaks a confident man.
Listen, even I'm getting worried, I tell you.
It was claimed he'd rewritten these lyrics to Send in the Clowns. It's not been much of a rewrite, it's just changed a couple of words, but he's suggested that, yeah, he'd Send in the Clowns, the old Stephen Sondheim tune from Little Night Music.
Do you want a quick blast?
Yeah.
We used to be rich, now we are not, but here at last, here's a chance to stop all the rot. Send in the clowns. Just don't give up the day job, Des. Oh, you have, yeah.
Mind you, I should imagine that Stephen Sondheim commentating on Southampton versus Newcastle would be equally inept as Des Lynam rewriting Stephen Sondheim.
How is David Cameron reacting while the whole flimsy house of cards collapses around him?
He went off to America, which is always a good thing to do if you're in trouble, is go abroad.
They actually flew over with Prince Harry. According to The Independent, David Cameron joined Prince Harry on a double-decker London bus. It was just the two of them, so they both had to sit next to the nutter. What were they presented with?
With, look-alike dolls.
Yes.
Yes, effigies.
Look-alike dolls.
Effigies made by a British firm called Makeys. Here they are. Look.
Do we know who their lookalikes of?
Actually, someone said they look like lesbian Mormons.
That is the campest Prince Harry ever.
He came up with a lovely comment saying, the beret makes me look a bit French.
French. No, no, you don't wear a beret like that. This is how you wear a beret.
No.
Well, the
Gosh,
dolls...
do you remember those days? There were people who were left-wing. So long ago.
Thanks, Ian. Shall we have a quick Greedy Bastards update?
Yeah. Does it come with a signature tune? Greedy bastards, greedy bastards, greedy bastards update.
Vodafone? I mean, anyone... What have they done?
Oh, is this a tax avoiders round?
Well, of course,
Yes.
it's bound to be, isn't it?
Vodafone, they haven't paid any tax?
Goldman Sachs.
Disgraceful.
Someone challenged them, the revenue, because the revenue did a deal where basically Goldman Sachs didn't have to pay interest on what they owed to the taxman, let alone what they actually owe. And the courts decided in Goldman Sachs's favour, which is absolutely extraordinary.
And Amazon?
I know this one. Look at that. I'm quite nervous. It's my first show. My dad actually rang me and went, "Don't spoil this for us." What a start of the 10. Yeah, they've avoided it by... It goes through Luxembourg, is it? The head office. So everything's processed here, packaged and sent off. But because the sales are processed in Europe, they avoid paying the UK tax.
But the man from Google's got to go back to Parliament to explain why he didn't appear to be telling the truth. I'm not saying he wasn't. Just Google truth, see if anything comes up.
How many female historical figures has the Bank of England put on a new banknote? Go?
None.
Correct.
Elizabeth Fry is going to be removed.
Elizabeth Fry, exactly.
Yeah, penal reformer.
I mean, how do you feel about women being ignored like this, Johnny? Paul?
Well, you know...
Sorry, Deborah, sorry. Finally, did anyone see the interview Boris Johnson gave this week on the subject of the EU? Keep your eye on the right-hand side of the screen.
I think, if we're honest, I think democratically it would be rather a... It would be a shot in the arm.
Good. Hang on. Hang on. Here it is, slowed down.
That's my dad.
Paul and Johnny, hello.
Hello.
Good evening and welcome. Take a look at this.
It's black and white. These look like spies in London Zoo, sort of handed over... Oh, yes, this is... the wigs are the clue. There was a man in Russia, that's him, that's the guy. It was some American CIA agent, I believe, who was caught in Russia with a selection of cheap wigs...
Yeah, that's the guy.
And fake passports and all that kind of stuff. And it was a bit ludicrous, really, because it was sort of... Amidst all the high-tech of modern espionage, here was a man who was wearing a little blonde wig in his suitcase and stuff. So that's what it's about, isn't it?
Well,
Did you see this?
It's the biggest spy scandal since Sky One failed to recommission a certain award-winning comedy. Oh. Still amazing how people don't have Sky, isn't it? Weird.
Yeah, I got Sky. I just
Well,
don't
you
watch
have.
anything with Sky written on
Hands
it.
up how many people have got Sky.
I got it, but I got given it for nothing. And then got paranoid that they were just recording me conversations in the house. Speaking in hushed tones, going, "It's tea time." But don't tell them what we're eating.
What alerted the Russian security service to the fact that this Ryan Fogel might not be simply the third secretary from the political section of the US Embassy?
Was he wearing all three wigs at the same time?
Let's have a look at the spy wig.
Plastic surgery's not very advanced in Russia, according to that bloke on the right.
How did the Russians identify Mr. Fogel?
Well, if you're the third political secretary, you are a spook, traditionally. So they saw him, and then they saw that the wig didn't fit.
No, but his rudimentary kit also included his US Embassy ID. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Twat.
Ah, yes, the follow-up.
No. He was also carrying a letter written in Russian.
To the contact, to the person he was going to turn to become a spy for us, or for the Americans, anyway.
Yeah.
And it said, "Dear colleague."
Dear friend.
Friend?
Yeah, and offered £65,300 for an initial interview.
Yeah.
Explaining, this is an advance from someone who is very impressed by your professionalism, especially as I myself am a bungling amateur.
Did he also have one of those business cards that you print off of the, you know, the service stations? I also am available for children's parties.
Yes, well, it continued. For us, your safety is of the utmost importance, so we have chosen this route to make contact with you. That's right. We've written everything down in this incriminating letter to be handed over to you by a man wearing 3 pairs of glasses and a dodgy wig. So what were the instructions given to the target to devise a highly complex and secure way of communicating with his new bosses?
Wander around St. Petersburg asking people if the seagull flies high over Krakow tonight.
Actually, he was told to use an internet cafe to create a Gmail account.
Well, that's secure.
Yeah.
I've only had my credit card raided twice through doing that.
Do you think they're targeting you?
There's a fundamental paranoia at work.
I reckon they're after those tea bags.
The pyramid. It changed the world. You know what I mean? First of all, the Egyptians, and now me.
My favourite television programme.
It's like a show, but we're selling stuff.
Yeah.
And people are suffering. I've got to shut up. I need that money.
Yeah. It's lovely. He's after your job. That's why he's going to lure you in.
Yeah.
Make a mistake.
We can have you in as a cameo.
Yeah.
You're like an evil coffee drinker.
So, staying with Russia, anyone know what song the Russian armed forces are choosing to march to?
Is it Dancing with the Captain by Paul Nicholas?
Oh, we've got... Let's have a look.
That's fantastic. If you were ever scared of the Red Army, it's gone. Do they know about his friend Patrick?
Patrick?
Yeah.
What's Patrick's condition?
Well, Patrick's the first openly gay cartoon crab, I think. Is he a crab?
No, it's a starfish.
He's starfish, sorry.
Oh, I'm coming to my own now.
Yeah.
Hang on. Mr. Krabby, he runs a local burger joint. It's not McDonald's. It's very similar and he's very tight-fisted. And, yeah, he goes to a boat school. He desperately wants to drive a boat. But he can never get his licence. It's gripping stuff. I should have possibly watched less of that and more of the news before I came on here. Something instinctively told me it might come up as a subject.
Well, it did. And now it's gone. Yes, this is the espionage scandal in which an unidentified person was captured in Moscow this week along with an espionage kit, which included 2 floppy wigs, 3 pairs of glasses and a map. Either he's a spy or Elton John is now lost in Russia on the leg of his tour. OK, round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Is it inbreeding in the royal family?
No, it's the original...
Isn't that the Duke of Clarence?
Is it the original Olympic? No, there's
Yes,
beer swilling
go
and
on.
shin kicking and...
The Cotswold Olympics.
it.
They were chronicled in an ancient pamphlet which is up for auction. According to the Times, the Cotswold Olympics began in 1612 and still continue today, much like the career of Bruce Forsyth. So, see if you can identify the sort of games that were played using an image taken from the book.
Well, it looks like sword fighting, we can see top right. Misunderstanding perspective. That was a very popular sport at the time.
Anyone know what Dwile flonking is?
He sounds like a daytime presenter. Over to Dwile flonking.
Is that the beer thing?
Yes,
That's the beer, that's the beer thing.
He's
There you
dodging
go.
beer soaked
Dodging beer
rags.
soaked
Very good.
rags.
Why would you dodge them?
This is the Cotswolds Olympics, which began in the 17th century and still takes place today. The first games in 1612 were rocked by scandal when some of the competitors tested positive for snuff. So, fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is Chris Hadfield, who has celebrated his final days up in the space station by
Singing.
serenading us with a Bowie song.
That's right, Space Oddity. Here it is.
Though I've flown 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still. And before too long, I know it's time to go.
He's changed the lyrics as well.
No Des Lynam, but anyway. So what else has Chris Hadfield done to attract attention to himself whilst up in space?
Has he started a war with Mars?
He's actually tweeted from his position on the International Space Station, which actually is 230 miles above the Earth. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible. I can't even get a 3G signal in Tooting. So why might it be easier to travel to space from Sussex than was previously thought?
Sussex is the highest place on the Earth. So it takes less time to get there.
According to the Brighton Argus,
Yes.
council bosses have been left mystified after reports that a portal to another dimension has opened in a residential street in Brighton.
That could be a door, though, couldn't it? Really, I don't just, you know, there's the kitchen, there's the hallway. It's another place.
Now, this worrying news because Des Lynam lives in Brighton. Any minute he'll start pushing immigrants down the vortex. Does anyone know how this discovery was made?
What, the portal?
Yes.
It's fantastic. Why not everybody know this story? This is fantastic.
A member of the public in Brighton told the Hove City Council,
Yeah.
I was recently walking my Affen pincher around the Hanover area of Brighton when I noticed that a wormhole or vortex had opened up in Montreal Road.
Affenpinscher, isn't that a crime in Austria?
So, on the subject of sounds in unexpected places, what has been troubling funeral goers?
Oh, mobile phones going off
Yeah.
in coffins.
Go on.
Where are you? Where are you? You said we'd meet at 2:30. Where are you?
In a study for the cooperative funeral care,
Yeah.
funerals were found to be the most inappropriate place to use a mobile phone. According to the Times, in one incident, a mourner in South Wales was called as the coffin was lowered into the ground. The ringtone was, "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands."
Well, this is what will happen.
Yeah, no, but the pallbearers did, you know. Yeah. Fingers on buzzers,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, sorry, I'm not in the question. I panicked. I panicked. Oh, here we go.
That's
the Israeli Prime Minister.
PM.
Oh, it's the amount of
isn't
money
it?
he spends.
Yeah.
He spends
Yeah,
a
we know
fortune on his hair and clothes and whatever he's holding there, ice cream and food and stuff.
He paid to have a bed put on a plane when
Yes.
he came over for Mrs Thatcher's funeral. So he could get some sleep. He could have slept during the funeral.
So what embarrassing revelation was revealed about Netanyahu's eating habits at the start of the year?
Is he sort of very fond of desserts? That wouldn't be scandalous, would it?
Zoom lollies.
We don't know.
His household account showed that he had a budget in excess of £1,700 a year to feed his ice cream cravings. And presumably that's Wailing Walls. Come on. You spend a lot of money on ice cream, haven't you, Deborah?
Mine's doggy ice cream.
Those are the ingredients.
What's doggy ice cream?
Nutritious ice treats for dogs. Don't look at me like that, Ian. We're on the same team.
Yeah. Well, nominally.
Yeah, you're missing tea bags now, aren't you?
Should we see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look. We've probably got an advert for it.
There you
There
go.
you go.
That's ice cream for dogs, and I look at that and all I can hear is, "Where is love?" So you found a way of giving dogs the same guilt as my wife.
Dogs don't feel
You know,
guilty.
effectively, a dog now can sit there and go, "I hate myself." Thanks, Deborah. Now I want to rock in the corner and cry. And have the other dogs ignore me in the park.
Fingers on buzzers,
Fingers on
teams,
buzzers,
please.
yeah. Oh, yes, this is the great invention. About 5-10 years' time, they reckon they'll have a car which you'll just be able to get into and say, "Take me home," and the car will take you home. It will react to other cars all around. It's a driverless car. Basically, you'll be able to get into the car in whatever condition you like and be delivered home, you know, safely.
This invention that you just get in and whatever state you're in, you say, and it takes you home.
Taxi?
Yeah.
Sorry, you were taking a while to get there. I just thought, you know. I know this route. I know a shortcut round the back. Round the back of the gasworks. Turn left there. You'll get there. There you are. That's the ice street. That's where you are. That's where you want to be.
Actually, here's Sergey Brin. He's founder of Google and one of the people backing the idea in one of the cars. Yeah, you can see it's a Google car, look, because there's no tax disc. In other technological advances, what can men now do? Easy, Deborah.
What can men now do?
Tell the truth. In an awkward social situation.
Get pregnant.
Get pregnant.
We're getting near.
We're getting near to being
Yeah,
pregnant.
they can experience, they can...
I genuinely hope so, because my figure's already gone. And I'm desperate to have a child to justify this.
Well, they can experience the pain of childbirth by using a new simulator. And here are two reporters from a local station in Michigan giving it a try. Watch this.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Starting to come down now. You guys are doing awesome. Start to
Yes, the driverless car is soon to be seen on British roads. Manufacturer Malcolm McCulloch told the Sunday Times a driverless car could be deployable within 5 years, which is great news because it means that a presenterless Top Gear could be deployable within 6. Time now for the odd one out round. One between you this week, Chris Huhne, Sisyphus, Radio Stokes, Paula White, and marathon runner Jake Harrison.
Is this about sentencing? And Chris Huhne has just come out of prison. Sisyphus, eternal life sentence. Quite
Sentencing
strict.
is good, yeah.
So it is sentencing?
No.
It is...
Good, but it's wrong.
Is it lying, because Sisyphus was in for lying?
Nope.
Is it pushing a rock up a hill?
What I never understood with that as a punishment, pushing the rock up the hill, is... There's got to be a point where you go, I'm never going to reach the top.
They are watching there, and they come and get him if he ever stops.
Oh, does it? Did it?
Who are watching?
G4S.
Well, let it go.
They've all failed to finish what they were doing, apart from Jake Harrison, who did complete the Marathon of the North, but was the only one to do so, as the other 793 runners went the wrong way.
See, bottom left, is that the woman who was dropped from Radio Stoke for slurring on air?
She was
good, yeah.
hammered.
Was she
It
hammered?
Brilliant.
Was she?
According to other people who were sober, she sounded awful.
Did we have a listen?
Yes.
Oh, it's...
Tina in Blurton would like to hear Charlie Rich, Most Beautiful Girl in the World. Tina. Oh, she is through. Tony in Hanford says, I'm going back by Phil. I'm going back where? Between now and 4 o'clock. We're having a party. We can. We absolutely can. Rich and Talk says, Paul, you sound drunk. I'm not drunk. I've had a couple of drinks. I'm not drunk.
You've been on Paula's show, haven't you?
Have I been on Paul's show?
Apparently, according to the producers, you've been on Paula's show.
I don't know. Neither of us remember.
According to Greek mythology, Sisyphus was a Corinthian king punished for his deceitfulness by being compelled to roll an immense boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back again forever. And if you're looking for a modern equivalent, it's like Pauline Prescott trying to get John out of bed. Chris Huhne has been released, and so has his wife, Vicky Price, who's announced that she'll be writing a book about her prison experiences called Prisonomics.
She's going to tell us the economic case against prison and how you can save money. And one of the ways would be if she pleaded guilty straight away, so we wouldn't have had to bloody well tried her.
Apparently, it is due out in September.
Oh, yes.
So we can expect it on our shows in a couple of weeks. OK, time now for the missing words round.
Yeah.
This week's guest publication is the British Investment Digest.
Oh.
And we start with... In March,
Yeah.
Germany what?
Have found a verb they like.
The answer is produced 3.1% less crude steel than it did last March. Moving on. Are remote-controlled turtles what?
Controlling human beings.
The answer is future of covert surveillance. According to the Metro, the turtles could be carrying out dangerous spying missions in the future.
How's the turtle going to get through customs in the first place, you know? It's not easy, is it? It's passport.
Well, can I just say that is a tortoise, not a turtle?
How dare you?
Next, yodeling interrupts what?
Is it Frank Ifield?
I remember you.
Nobody else does. Not you, Robert, the song.
No, but the answer is...
Yes.
Radio 4.
Yeah, at what point do you cue that up as backup, yodeling? We've lost traffic and travel, quick! All right, I'll pull off here.
And finally, rival Star Wars and Doctor Who fans what?
Are still virgins.
No, they had a fight.
They had a fight?
They had a fight. There was a convention.
This wasn't a portal in Brighton, was it, by any chance?
The answer is separated by police.
Separated by police.
Some guy who'd been giving it large and then realised that his lightsaber couldn't actually slice an arm off.
Surely when the police arrived, somebody must have said, "Ah, the force is with you." So... must have said that. Yeah, must have done.
So, the final scores are Paul and Johnny 4 and Ian and Deborah 7.
Yes! Oh, yes! It's a win. I don't understand what's happening.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
That's nice, isn't it? I've only just come to visit your country and here we are, remembering old times.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Deborah Meaden, Johnny Vegas and Paul Merton. And I leave you with the news that amid continuing reports that Boris Johnson is aiming to be the Prime Minister, David Cameron buys him a coffee to bury the hatchet. In Malmo, the director of the Eurovision Song Contest makes final preparations for the thrilling 4-hour spectacle. And a scientist at Oxford University finds an exact replica of Michael Gove's brain. Power to the people. Good night.
Lucy's First Love makes a dramatic move next. BAFTA award-winning Lee Makin not going out here on BBC One. And later, Friday Night Glamour with Graham, The Great Gatsby's Isla Fisher and Baz Luhrmann on the sofa at 10:35.